anything, we certainly will. Ray, can you hit record? I think you already did. I want to welcome everyone to another first for the Fishtown District on behalf of our Director of Operations, Kay Anderson, and our Office Manager / Marketing Director, Randy Sherwood. Hello, Randy. Okay.
Hello.
I want to welcome you to our first virtual commercial property open house. One of the things that we had been hoping to do prior to COVID hitting and sort of changing the landscape would be able to set up monthly meetings with developers, building owners, and potential tenants of available commercial properties in the district, so that we can help fill spaces to either buy or to lease for people. It's a way to keep the continued transition of our commercial corridor. So we decided that as we move forward, we wanted to start to do something like this virtually on a monthly basis, where we can sort of present what we've been doing as a executive staff for the Fishtown District to compile a list of available properties for sale or lease in the district, invite our local developers and property owners who have spaces available or properties available, and give prospective tenants an opportunity to see, ask questions, make appointments, and go from there. With that, welcome. I want to turn it over to Kay Anderson, our Director of Operations, who can kind of give you where our commercial property available list is, and sort of navigate what's available through that now. So Kay, take it away.
Thanks, Mark. So Randy actually already posted in the chat the link to our property list. Randy, do you want to go ahead and share screen and show folks the property list, or I can, either way?
I have it up already.
Perfect. So this is a new tool that we recently added with our new website. And the goal of this tool is to list all of the available properties within our district. And that includes not only the available commercial space for rent, but also the commercial and mixed use properties for sale, as well as residential properties for sale. And we try our best to keep up with residential for rent. But as we all know, that market moves fast. So sometimes that's a little tough. I pull most of these listings off of the multi-listing service. So MLS, if it has an MLS number, I try to get an email alert that lets me know when changes are happening. And I do update this list basically daily, if not every other day. As you know, we all know not everything hits the MLS listings. So at any time, if there is a space that you are trying to fill as a property owner, or something that you're trying to sell, let us know, send us an email, and we're happy to put together a listing for you. So you can see Randy's pulling up one of the listings now. So on the listing itself, we have everything categorized in those categories I already mentioned: commercial for sale, residential for sale, commercial for rent, and residential for rent. Right below there, we have the address and a contact phone number. We try to direct people to phone as much as possible with real estate, just because, you know, a lot of the real estate transactions tend to happen quickly, and phone is the best way for most folks to get in contact. We also try to include a link to a website, since most of the listings that I get are being pulled from, you know, MLS and other real estate listings. Oftentimes that link won't be your property management website or something of that sort. So if that link is outdated, or if there's a better link, you have a brochure for the property available online, you can always send us that link and I'll swap it out. And the same thing with the description below. If there's any changes that you would want on your description, feel free to send us an email and we can always update this. The other thing that you can do as a property owner is this button, claim listing. So you can hit that and let us know that you are responsible for that property or for that listing. That sends us an email, and then we can get in contact with you and talk through any other changes that you would want. And I think that there's also a way for you to make changes to the listing itself on the back end. So then you can upload your own pictures and change the price when it gets reduced, or you raise the price in a competitive bidding situation. That's about it for the property list. If you if you have a real estate company and you're not sure of whether your property falls within the Fishtown District or not, again, I'm always here, so send me an email and I'll happily let you know whether you're inside our boundaries or not. We also have a map available on our website, so you can check that out and see if your property falls inside.
Thanks, Kay. A couple quick questions before we sort of open it up. As you've been putting this together, and I don't want to put you on the spot, are there any trends or tendencies that you see now, whether it be certain parts of the corridor that seem to be more available than others, whether more for lease or sale, if you know offhand?
Absolutely. So when it comes to commercial leasing, there really is not much available on Frankfurt Avenue in the southern portion. We do have some locations available on Front Street currently, as well as a couple of locations on East Girard and a few further north on Frankfurt Avenue. The other thing to keep in mind is each of our corridors are a little bit different in terms of building style, average commercial space size, and other things that you want to keep in mind, like accessibility and neighborhood demographics, retail trade, etc. So with Front Street especially, you have the close proximity to the L, which is a huge asset for the neighborhood as well as for commercial businesses trying to locate in that area. When it comes to residential for sale, there are very few residential properties left on the corridor, as most of them have been either converting to commercial properties or they've been condoed into single unit owner occupied properties. So the investment opportunities are getting few and far in between. But there is still some vacant land available on the northern part of Frankfurt Avenue up closer to Lehigh.
One last thing, and certainly I could jump in as well. As far as commercial leases, is there an average cost you were finding per month that people can expect when they're looking to come here?
It always depends on the terms of the lease. Leases vary drastically, especially when it comes to the way that commercial leases are written. Oftentimes, if you're looking at commercial spaces, they will be triple net lease, which means that you have responsibility for utilities as well as a portion of taxes. So that's something that's important for commercial tenants to keep in mind. And when you're looking at Frankfurt Avenue in particular, the rent rate can really range all the way from, I've seen things as low as $1.75 a square foot per month. This is per month, not per year. All the way up to, over $2.50 a square foot per month. So there really is quite a variety. Obviously, it's more expensive down towards the southern end. And then the other thing to keep in mind is not every commercial space is created equal. So some of the commercial spaces on Frankfurt Avenue were built simply to satisfy the commercial requirement in zoning, which makes the spaces a little bit less usable. So there are some cheaper commercial spaces available on Frankfurt Avenue with lower rent rates, but oftentimes those spaces are about 300 square feet or a little bit bigger than that. So it's really only suitable for property management offices, CPAs, and other kind of like office style interactions and businesses.
And just as we're following trends, it seems that the new tenants that seem to be coming in, for those that are on this meeting, the Fishtown District is also a registered community organization, an RCO, which means that any zoning matters, whether it's a variance or special exceptions, come to the bid now as well, so that we can have a say for what's either coming in or what possible changes may come to our corridor. And it seems as the ones that are coming in, we still see food coming in. We have Vince's Pizza that looks like it's coming in at 965 Frankfurt. You and I have a conversation with someone today for the 1400 block that is looking to have a vegan type of takeout place. It seems, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that we had a new dress place called Naz, N-A-A-Z, open up. So retail still seems to be coming along. But it seems to me that professional services, there's still a need to pull in here. Are there any other trends retail-wise that we can explain to anybody on the call that that you believe we're looking to bring on here or accentuate or enhance? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's businesses that residents ask for all the time, but those businesses aren't necessarily going to make sense in terms of what industry trends are for the area and what competition is when you're looking at a regional lens. And when I say that, I'm speaking, for example, hardware stores, something that people request all of the time. But with such close geographic location, proximity to Home Depot and Lowe's, there have been hardware stores that moved into the neighborhood in the past and unfortunately went out of business just due to a lack of a customer base. So that's kind of a tough question to answer. I think that there's been a shift in the business mix that has the corridor has been shifting from being a community centered and community serving commercial mix to something that's a little bit more destination and entertainment oriented. And I would expect that trend to continue as well. We see a lot of creative food manufacturing happening on up in East Kensington, especially. And that's a historic manufacturing node. So I think a lot of the infrastructure and architecture lends itself to more of that type of use continuing to flourish in the future.
Now I want to give you an easy one. How often is the commercial property list of the vacancies? And once we're saying, how often is it updated?
I try to update it daily. So as soon as I get an email notification telling me that a price has changed or a new property has gone on the market, I will add it. And like I said, if anybody who's on this call or sees the recording later, if you have a new property that you would like to advertise with us, feel free to reach out to me via email.
And that's a key thing. As you see the list come together, both Kay and I and Randy, we're all here to sort of guide you to the property owner if you see something that you like. As we do these meetings on a regular basis, we'll find more and more developers and so forth popping on. One of the things just that we've observed as an executive staff is, obviously for Frankfurt Avenue, there's a big volume on Frankfurt, really as you go from Girard down to Palmer. That's sort of the hot spot where the restaurants are. There's some pretty unique retail there. Even as you go from the other side of Girard to the river, that's starting to transform with Vince's coming. Fabrica is there. We certainly have the Fillmore. One of the focuses I know that we have really been pushing is how do we build up, because as much as we think that this is a pretty dense area where there's not spaces available, as you can see from that list, there are. And as we go to past Palmer all the way down to Lehigh, we're going to be looking to revitalize the corridor. There's a legislative act that I was involved in my prior life in the House of Representatives called the Conservatorship Act, where a nonprofit such as ours can go to court to take a vacant, blighted eyesore, take control of it, renovate it, and get it back into productive use. We have targeted, for us, we've targeted some locations on the 2600 block of Frankfurt Avenue, as well as the 400 block of East Girard. That's also an area where you have some pretty big older properties that might need a little bit of work, but the storefronts are fairly large. that you don't often get in the dense areas on Frankfurt Avenue and even North Front Street. So those are the things to keep a look at because it's really going to be based on what you're looking for, what you're going to be bringing, and certainly your price point. Randy, do you have anything to add before we would open it up to any questions?
I was just going to say we are working to get some demographic information. We have some on what types of businesses are in the area and what is needed in the area. And I remember specifically like grocery stores was one, but we do have some information on that we can share after the fact. I was just going through my notes and looking for that information so I can share it.
Thanks.
That might
For
help.
any of our participants today, and certainly raise your hand or make your questions in the comments, is there any specific questions that you may have, whether you have a property that you want to display or of a need that you're looking for purchase or for lease? This is the time. And certainly, again, we'll put Randy, if you could put all of our email addresses in the chat, people can reach out to us afterwards. So feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rhiannon Weiser, and I'm here today for a unique reason. I am an account representative for the American Red Cross, and I've been able to utilize vacant commercial spaces at places like Billy Penn Studios, and we've had a couple blood drives at the Fillmore. So I came today just to hear about what kind of opportunities for what kind of commercial spaces are vacant at this time in Fishtown, and also just a survey if anybody has any recommendations of places that the American Red Cross can reach out to in these zip codes in and around Fishtown.
Thanks, Rhiannon. Rhiannon, and certainly stay on. How big a space, like for the Red Cross, do they need?
So right now, due to coronavirus, we need about 2,000 square feet to maintain social distancing and proper guidelines from the state and everybody else.
Have you spoken? I mean, it sounds like you did with the Fillmore.
Yes,
because
yes, we've done
been
2 drives
active
there.
and helpful.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so they're in. They're good.
Yes.
Okay. Kay, offhand, any other suggestions that we may have as far as a space of that size?
What about Skip
Skip?
from?
We can make an introduction, Rhiannon, to Feast Your Eyes Catering. He's got
Great.
a pretty substantial space. Rhiannon, if you could put your email in the chat this way, well, I'll make an introduction, and I'm sure he'd be more than willing to help. We've all been in there. It's a great spot. Plenty of room to socially distance. And Skip's a pretty giving guy, the owner. So I think that might be pretty available. And then we can keep looking for additional spaces or spaces that aren't being used right now, whether they're dining spots that are just not being used for that purpose, etc. So we are more than happy to help.
Awesome. I really appreciate that.
Our pleasure. No, thank you. And certainly we'll do what we can to keep you involved down here. Any other questions? Thoughts, concerns?
I have one.
Yeah, okay.
Another thing that would be helpful for me in particular is thinking through the structure of these meetings as well, because this is also a time not only for potential commercial tenants who are interested in coming to the area to learn about available properties, and for people who own properties to talk amongst each other about trends, etc. But if there's anything else that would be helpful as far as information or resources go that we could provide on these calls, bringing in industry experts to talk about new trends or technology or anything of that sort, we're all ears. So please reach out with any ideas that you might have along those lines as well.
Yeah, just to piggyback, okay, that's a great point. Listen, our job is to serve our stakeholders and potential stakeholders. So we want to hear what you want, how this could be more accessible for you, easier to find things, easier to meet the needs, not just of the current climate. Listen, we're all dealing with this new normal, but as we move forward, we are hoping that 2021 brings a little more regularity to what we're looking for. But what we are pleased as a corridor to see is that people are still wanting to buy and lease here and still want to come here. And it's our job to make sure that we make that process as easy as possible. Before we go, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Anything else that we have not covered? Again, we will make sure to send this out. Again, we're going to do this once a month. And hopefully this will be something productive and helpful for all of you.
I had a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Nevro Tam, I've talked to you guys before. We own the property on Front Street that just went up.
What's the exact address? I know it's at 13th.
1229 North Front.
Gotcha,
So
go ahead.
we're fully leased on the resi, so that's good. Good tenants and everything. We're talking to some potential retail tenants, but one thing I don't know if you guys post is, do you keep a list of all the new businesses opening up shop in the area? And that would be helpful, just so we know, like when we're talking to retailers, we can sort of tell them what else is opening, what might benefit them.
So while we don't,
go ahead. Okay.
I was going to say, while we don't keep a public list as far as planned openings, just because sometimes we get insider knowledge that we're not supposed to share with the public, I do keep a back end list as far as where, conversations that we've heard, where things are planned, et cetera, et cetera. So we do keep that on the back end. And then on our website itself, we also have an online business directory. Where businesses that are actually open and operating, or have at least a planned grand opening, that type of thing, are advertising that they're in a space, we add them on the public-facing online directory.
You have any map?
If you go to fishtowndistrict.com, you can just click on, and it has all of the lists of our, the businesses come to the corridor, and every time a new one comes, we add it. We try to break it down by category.
Sorry, do you have a map of that kind of stuff, or is that just general info?
There is
a map on each one, but not like a general map of where they all are in the district.
Okay, I think that would be helpful if that's something you guys can do, because obviously, the brokers themselves are doing that kind of stuff, but if you have that kind of stuff, it helps.
So there is a map. So it's embedded in our search function. So if you're looking, for example, for bars nearby or near a particular address, it's searched by category. So instead of pulling up like a full map with all of the businesses, you would have to select a specific category of business that you're looking for, and then it'll pull them all up, as well as list them out.
Right.
And it may be possible to list them all like without category and maybe get one map on there, so we could possibly do that as well.
I know that map shows the full map of the directory shows up on the property list side.
Yep.
Because the plugins are connected, so I'm sure that we could embed that map on a separate page.
I think there's some guys, like some tech companies, that have already I've seen it in New York, mapped out a lot of the retail, like every business on every street. So there might exist.
If you go to ours, it has the ability to do it. That there was just so many that we didn't include that, so it was just by category, because it just was like one big blob of information. So, but it is possible that we could make that available to people that we didn't.
And that's something that we've done. Certainly, Randy and I have, and when we ran another commercial corridor that and listen, it kind of gets, you try to do the best you can in doing maps by sections, color coordinating by the type of business and listing the business. And one of the things that we'll be doing in the coming days, weeks, is besides providing that on a website, we're looking to have paper copies that will be in businesses that people can pick up, so they can get a full scale of what's here, where they can go, and where everything is. But that information is available now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So you'll see, and certainly feel free to reach out to me or to Kay if you need help navigating anything through there.
Sure.
If I can do it, most people can.
Or if you notice any omissions, feel free to just shoot them over to me and we'll get them on there as soon as possible.
You know, if like dentists and doctors and, you know, you mentioned professional services are sort of somewhat lacking. Are they looking around to open up shop or?
Yeah, we've gotten a few requests in the past. I know that there is a medical node kind of around Allegheny Avenue that has a lot of doctors' offices. So a lot of folks look in that area, but there is spillover down into our neighborhood. We see a lot more wellness practitioners per se than traditional medical fields.
Right.
But it's definitely something we do see.
There you go. And, you know, I think, listen, COVID sort of impacted a lot of things. You know, when think about it, we started in January. We were pretty active, certainly Kay and I, in talking to people and potential tenants, and things should have stalled, as you can imagine, putting business openings in general. I think so now people are still looking. So we're looking to enhance those professional services as well. Doctors, dentists, lawyers. No offense to those who don't like lawyers, because I am one. But whatever else, because there's still a need for that. And I think it's important. I know with restaurants, bars, eateries, etc., that's there. You're going to see more not just in coming meetings, but in the coming months and year of hospitality type buildings, hotels, boutique hotels being built. So this is, the transformation will continue and the energy is still going to continue. And then please keep us posted if we can help in any way that we can help you lock down tenant or tenants for your building. Because, one of the things, for example, is you're right by the L station. So we just received a $75,000 per year grant from the city of Philadelphia. For cleaning, to really focus on Front and Girard and the surrounding area. We've just brought in the crew of ready, willing, and able to do that. They started on Monday. We're also working with SEPTA, who has agreed to really improve the quality of the L stop there, to make it not just beautify it, make it safer. And we're working on some bigger plans and for the coming year and beyond to really make things more pedestrian friendly and beautiful to everybody, because we know thousands of people come through that location every day. And we want to make that a safe, comfortable, good experience for everybody. So I think that's going to help you as well. All right. Is there anything further before we adjourn the first one? We think it was a good, productive start, and we're looking forward to really getting down into really making some connections for everybody. So if there is nothing further, I'm going to thank everybody for being part of it. Kay, thanks for all the information. Randy, thank you. And we'll see everybody soon. And you have our emails. Please feel free to email any of us with any specific questions. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.